This video is sponsored by Squarespace.
Hey everyone, I'm Ace of Clay. I'm a sculptor, and every week I make a new sculpture. Happy Valentine's Day. Today, we're gonna hang out and make a creepy Cupid together. Before we get started, don't forget to enter my giveaway with gallery airbrushes. I am announcing the winner on Monday. The winner will get a mini compressor and airbrush combo kit, along with one of every one of my sculpting supplies: the Sculpt Like a Monster mat, the Super Poker, the clay cutting blades, the wooden sculpture bases, premium clay roller, 2-pack acrylic rollers, and 10 and 16 gauge armature wire. So if you want to win, all you have to do is be subscribed to my channel, like this video, and leave a comment below. I will be announcing the winner again on Monday the 17th on all of my social media pages, including the community tab right here on YouTube. All the instructions to enter the giveaway are in the link in the description box below. All right, now let's start our Cupid. So it's been a while since I've done a video in this format where I'm actually sculpting, and I think I decided to do it because I just woke up today in a really good mood. But anyway, as you can see here, I've already made Cupid's armature. We've got his ultralight body roughed out, along with a little cutout where I plan to put an exposed heart. So this is gonna kind of be like a combo between a zombie and a demon, I guess. I don't know, but he's gonna have a bow and arrow, of course, and then some creepy wings. We need to get started. I've got my clay already conditioned here, rolled it through my pasta maker, and I'm just gonna start covering that ultralight torso with my Super Sculpt original. So I'm just applying the clay like you see in every single one of my videos, like you've seen me do since 2018. Can't believe we've been doing this for 6 years together now, right? 7 years, oh my God. It was my 10-year Ace of Clay anniversary in November last year. I didn't really do anything special for it. I was kind of going through all that stuff with my dog, so I just wasn't in the mood to do anything special. But, you know, things are getting back to normal now. We just want to cover the torso. And like I said, I'm going for a zombie monster type situation. So we'll just see where it goes. I actually have no plan for what this guy's going to look like. So that's always fun. And it's also scary. As you can see, he's going to be in this sort of running pose, kind of, or like getting ready to take off and fly pose. And I'm using one of my bases. I sell these on my website if you want to grab some. And then he's going to be holding his bow and arrow. Like the bow will be right here in this hand, and then he'll be sort of like pulling it, kind of relaxed. You know, he's not going to be in an active shooting pose. All right, now I got to get up and get my bacon bond. Where is my bacon? Oh, it's over there. Ha ha ha. Got it. And I got my bacon bond brush. Also, I apologize for the wonderful view up there. All right, now I'm totally lost already. Like, I just don't know what I want to do with this guy. I think I don't know what we're gonna do. What are we gonna do? So I just brushed on some bacon bond. That's gonna help my clay stick to my wire. It's a lot faster and easier than wire wrapping. I also think it works a little better than wire wrapping. So now we're just going to cover that first leg. And then when you're doing a pose like this, you want to make sure that your armature is strong enough. And like, he's not going to be super top heavy or anything, so I'm not worried about that bending or anything in the oven. So I'm good. But if he was going to be really top heavy, like if I was going to give him like a huge head or like really giant wings, I would probably sculpt this leg out of epoxy sculpt, because that will, you know, that stuff cures like concrete, and it will definitely support whatever weight is up top. And I forgot my X-Acto knife. I'm having a pretty good hair day. I need a haircut really bad. Let's cover that leg. I'm just taking this little tapered snake of clay. Just gonna pop it on. And like the way your clay performs definitely depends on the temperature in your room. So when it's warmer, your clay is gonna be softer, and when it's colder, your clay is gonna be harder. Right now, my room is about, say like, I don't know, 69 degrees, 70. And that seems to be like a good sweet spot, because the clay blends really well and it's not so warm that it just turns to mush. If you want your sculptures to come out right, make sure your room temperature is correct. But it is true, I know in the summer, especially when the humidity is like super high, like I gotta have the air conditioning blasting, because the clay will just not cooperate. And then when it's super cold, it's really hard to blend it because it's so hard. Oh, it's a good clay day because that went on very nicely. And then here, confession alert, I don't like Valentine's Day. I never have. It has nothing to do with like being in a relationship or anything. I just don't like it. It's in like the butthole of winter, at least in Michigan. And I think the decorations are ugly. Pink is my least favorite color. I just don't like it, never have. The color just doesn't make me feel good when I look at it. And I know a lot of people love pink. Pink is a lot of people's favorite color, but that makes me not like Valentine's Day because every store is like drowning in pink. Not to be super negative or anything, but that's just a little fun fact about me. And then St. Patrick's Day, I like it because it's kind of like we're nearing the end of winter and you can see the light at the end of the tunnel. Now we're gonna do that other leg. I know another thing it was really kind of funny is that like I love sculpting people and figures and faces and characters. Obviously, like that's all I do. My whole personality is figure sculpting. I mean, just look at my room. But I don't like having to make two of everything. Like I can't stand, okay, I just made one leg, now I gotta make another one, and it's just, you know, it's a struggle sometimes. But it's like and then the second one that you make is never as good as the first one. It's always harder the second time around. And it's probably because you're trying to match something that already exists, and that's always a pain. This is supposed to be a dude. The body's looking kind of feminine. We'll have to figure that out in a minute. I think we're gonna go with more of a zombie look. Alrighty, Aphrodite. This is giving like Peter Pan vibes, I feel like. Look at that. What's the song from Peter Pan? I don't know, I haven't watched it in a while. That's another thing about videos like this, is like it's literally just me talking to myself the whole time, and hopefully you find that entertaining, because if you don't, I mean, you're obviously not gonna watch it. I'm just sitting here talking to myself, enjoying my drink. Look, it matches my shirt. This is, I don't know, Acai something Mio, whatever that flavor is. Trying to get my caffeine intake under control. As you can see, it's not working. But if it weren't for Mio in that glass, I would not be here right now. I'd just be sitting over there looking like a homeless person doing the same thing. All right, oh my God. We'll do the feet in a minute. Now I'm trying to see what details are we gonna put on this guy. Do I do exposed ribs? Do I do just like super skinny, paper thin skin type situation? Or are there chunks of flesh missing and exposed bone? Like there's so many options when it comes to making creepy things. I think I want to make him just like gross and like shrivelly, rotting, skinny, emaciated, all the words that you normally use to describe Cupid. Oh, and also I just realized that I did not make any holes for his wings to go into. So the question is now, do I carve out the holes in his back now, like even like going through that ultralight, or do I figure it out later, make that tomorrow Anthony's problem? And I think if I know what's good for me, I'm gonna carve out the holes for them now. And I'm just going to cut out a chunk of my Super Sculpey just so I can get to that ultralight. And the nice thing about ultralight is that it carves really well. It's almost kind of like foamy feeling, like really dense foam when it's hardened. So we're just gonna go in there. At the end of the day, even if this sculpture doesn't come out good, at least we had fun together, right? Anyway, all right, so we're gonna start working on, actually, we're not gonna do nothing until we get his neck on. All right, we're gonna take a quick break from our video to talk about our sponsor, Squarespace. Now, I have been using Squarespace for almost 6 years now, even before they started sponsoring me, and I could not be happier with my experience. When you have a business like me or a portfolio, you've gotta have a website, and Squarespace takes all of the guesswork out when it comes to building one. It's easy, straightforward, the options are virtually endless, and they give you all the tools you need to succeed. I love the the flexible website templates. I'm honestly updating my website at least once a week, and it could not be easier. All of the templates are professionally designed and have options for every use and category. You can customize your look, effortlessly update content, and add all the features to fit your needs. You can transform any template into your own to really stand out online or on any device. I also love how easy it is to have an online store with them. I can beautifully showcase all of my products so they stand out with images, videos, reviews, related products, add-ons, and more. The Squarespace commerce platform makes managing everything from inventory to sales and customers simple. You can even print shipping labels through Squarespace like I do to save time while fulfilling orders. And just recently, they've introduced Design Intelligence. This combines 2 decades of industry-leading design with cutting-edge AI technology to unlock your strongest creative potential. So what are you waiting for? Don't put off making that website any longer. Trust me when I tell you, Squarespace will have your back every step of the way. And you won't believe how easy it is to do, and it's gonna look awesome. Head on over to squarespace.com for a free trial, and when you're ready to launch, tell them Ace of Clay sent you by going to squarespace.com/aceofclay. This will get you 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. Now, I do want to tell you that my, I guess, sculpting abilities reach further than just like stop motion-y looking characters. Like, I can actually sculpt an anatomically correct person. I just don't enjoy doing those kind of sculptures because I don't think they're as fun, because it's kind of just like the same template for every character. You know, you make Spider-Man, Superman, Batman, all the mans, and they all have essentially the same body. You know, they all have the same muscle structure, and it's just like, I just don't think that's fun. Pyramid Head, I did make him. That wasn't like my best anatomy sculpt, but it kind of gives you the gist of it. But anyway, my point is, I was thinking about doing some like foundational courses of like how to sculpt male and female anatomy, like actually sculpt it. I do want to up the foundation courses on this channel, kind of like my hand sculpting video. Let me know if you want to see that. Also, if you sculpt too, let me know in the comments what you're working on right now. And then if you want to take it a step further, check out my Facebook group, Snakes of Clay. All right, now I'm gonna start at the shoulder area and then work my way down. So we're just gonna add clavicles, and then I need to add his pecs. We don't want him to be too jacked. Oh, and a lot of people are asking me when the spoon tool is going to be released, because I am producing them, and it'll be hopefully sometime this year. So we just want that abdomen to go in just a little bit, just kind of follow the contours of where his rib cage would end, and then come down to the crotch. I hate that word, crotch. I'm just gonna roll, not drag, roll my ball stylus in the direction I want these indents. And I need to go grab my smaller ball stylus. We're gonna shape out where the ribs are. Again, rolling the ball stylus, not dragging it, because if you drag it, you're gonna move your clay around. You don't wanna move the clay around. You want to just press it in. And then we're gonna add a little bit of clay down the sternum. These little balls of clay, and flatten them down the center of his chest. And then use my spoon tool, blend them into the rest of his body. We're gonna do something here. I'm gonna post on my Instagram story for people to ask me questions, and then I'll answer them in the video. I'm recording a YouTube video right now, and I want to answer some of your questions. Ask away. Ask me anything. Posted, and wait a couple minutes for that to make the rounds. And what should his face look like? All right, it's been a couple minutes. Let's see if we got any questions. Okie dokie, Japoki. Got quite a few. All right. Would you ever do a sculpture based on a fan's drawing? Yes, absolutely. I used to do those videos all the time. I used to call them Sculpt This, where people would like submit their drawings, and then I would pick one to turn into a sculpture. And that was a series that I did for a few years, and then I just stopped doing it for some reason. Is there any other medium you want to try but maybe feel apprehensive? I'd love to try glass blowing. I think that That would be epic. So glass blowing, to answer your question. Will you ever do anything cute or will it always be monsters? Yeah, I'll probably do some cute stuff, especially now that I'm having a kid and I want to make something for her that isn't evil and ugly. And I always want to do stuff that you guys want to watch. I want to sculpt what I want to sculpt at the same time, but like I want you to want to watch it too, because like you guys are kind of like my boss. You keep me employed. So I want to keep you happy, but at the same time, you know, keep myself sane too. And you all just seem to respond the best to creepy monster stuff. Hence why I'm not making a cute Cupid today. And we're making this abomination. When will your next plush be for sale? Probably October, because I'm doing one for Halloween. Will you make guides soon? And here, like these are, I hope you don't think I'm like making up these questions. Like these are legit the questions I'm getting. When will your next plush be for sale? Will you make guides soon? My last guide was Samson, the deer guide, who is also my favorite because he is loosely based off of me when I was younger. Actually, no, my favorite guide is Winston, which is why I keep releasing Winston merch. But Samson, the deer guide, is a solid second place there. But I will make another guide. There's 13 of them total. I have them all listed out. And there's a leader of all the guides. There's a hierarchy, and there's the next one will probably be a girl. And I guess I can just give you a little spoiler. The next one is very likely to be the eagle guide. But yeah, definitely more guides. Like I said, there's 13 of them. When did you become a sculptor, and what made you decide to become one? I became a sculptor when I realized that I enjoyed sculpting and I was good at it. Like it was one of those things where like I picked it up really fast, and I started messing with polymer clay in like 7th grade. That was back in like 2002, like 87 years ago. Around like Christmas time and stuff, I used to make these Santa ornaments, and I just kind of turned the Santa ornaments into the business, which essentially became Ace of Clay, and then I started doing custom orders and all that, and then the YouTube channel happened. So like I decided to become a sculptor when, like I said, I picked it up relatively easily and had a good response to my work. So it's really not that super interesting of an answer, but that's basically what happened. All right, now we're gonna just keep going with these details. I really like how those lines look that I was doing with that rubber shaper. That's a nice texture. And then we're gonna add the heart. Oh God, should we add the heart now or should we add it after it's baked? Is that that's just the shadows, right? Like my eyes don't have that dark of circles underneath them, do they? Ah, red 40. I know this is really bad for you, but I could be smoking crack. Oh, did you hear that? My elbows crack like that. Oh no, there's dog hair in my clay. That'd be a good children's book. There's dog hair in my clay. So like if I'm looking down, I look like I have serious dark circles. Come on, light. Like what am I supposed to do? Oh, they're really bright. Oh, and if you ever want a really good desk light, and I'm not, you know, sponsored or anything, they sent these to me though for free. Redgrass Games makes the best desk lamp ever. I love their stuff. Absolutely love it. I have a referral link with them too, but I don't think I ever activated it. And that's the thing, like a lot of people think that every time I mention a brand, it's just like a money grab or whatever, but it's like I mention brands all the time that I don't even have an affiliate link with. You know, I just get really, really excited when I discover a new product that I've never used before. And I love sharing my experience with other people. So that's that. Not everything's a money grab, y'all. And honestly, if I really cared that much about money, I would have hidden all my content behind a paywall. I just have my YouTube channel that's free. How do you make your mutants? The idea just comes to me, like I'll be like, boom, the doctor, boom, the photographer, boom, this, boom, that. Other times when I really want to put out a hidden world video, I really have to think about it, and like what I'm gonna do, and I like plan everything out, I sketch. Usually it just comes to me, and those are some of my best mutants, in my opinion. The ones that just pop into my head. But sometimes I research them. I look into like different professions, what would make an interesting mutant, what wouldn't, you know, and then just try not to be like super cliche with my execution. I'll start with their name, then I will draw them, and then I will think of their story while I'm sculpting my drawing, and then finish the story during the editing process, or like put the final touches on it and all that. That's my process. How many hours do you typically spend on each sculpture? For the most part, I'm probably at like 5 to 8 hours on every sculpt. Probably like 5 to 6 for the majority of them, but like the more crazy ones, probably 8 to 10, maybe 10 hours. The Paperboy, I think he took a while because that bike was just an absolute nightmare to make. And like my bigger stuff takes a while. Yeah, anywhere from 5 to 10 hours. All right, that torso is looking pretty nifty. Now we're gonna work our way down to the legs. Not bad for an hour and a half. That's also not counting the ultralight. So now I'm just gonna add some snakes of clay going vertically down his legs. Now I'm just blending in those snakes of clay, as you can see. And we're getting that nice stringy texture on the legs. Would you ever consider selling any more of your sculptures from your collection? Absolutely. I'm trying to get a few on there every month because, and the reason honestly is because I'm running out of room. I don't have anywhere to put these, and I don't want to have to deal with hundreds of fragile sculptures for the rest of my life. So I need to thin out my collection quite a bit. I'm just kind of taking baby steps, just kind of seeing what happens. I'm definitely, like I said, once a month. If you want to know when I do a drop to get like first dibs on whatever I list, you can join my email list. Just go to my website, aceofclay.com, and click mailing list, and it'll take you to the sign up form. But yeah, usually I notify my email subscribers first, and then the next day I'll post the listings to Facebook, and whatever's left can go that way. Now I need to give some shape to that knee here. I'm gonna add a kneecap so it doesn't look completely like a Twizzler. I also want to add some veins to this guy. Here's a good question. Would you rather be a salamander or a crab? Probably a salamander. Yeah, and I just feel like my range of motion would be better as a salamander. What are your inspirations for your style? All right, well, first and foremost, I have always loved creepy, ugly, scary things ever since I was little. My love for all things creepy definitely inspires me a lot because I love it so much that I love sculpting it and putting more of it out in the world, you know? I was always drawn more to the villains in movies than the heroes and heroines. I always wanted to be on the villain side. And I just remember when I was little being fascinated with the evil queen's hands in Snow White. When that scene where she's transforming and she's like, ah, like my hands, or whatever she says. Like, I loved the way her hands looked, like the bony knuckles, the long fingernails, like creepy pokey fingers. Like I loved them. Those hands have inspired me a lot. I've used the blueprint for those to create hands on some of my sculptures, like my Krampus sculpture that I made, and probably several behind me right now. I've always liked creepy, weird things. I've always been a little weirdo, and wouldn't have it any other way. Now I'm just using some little balls of clay to create some protruding vertebrae down his back. Not including the ice cream man, what's your top character made in the hidden world so far? I love the mailman. He's actually right here. I love the mailman. He was my first sculpture I released last year, and I love how he looks. I love his little envelopes, his little letters on his base here. I think he looks super cool. Really proud of this guy. He's definitely one of my like top 5 hidden world characters. Your videos are the equivalent to Bob Ross, the most soothing thing to fall asleep to, then wake up and actually watch it. Oh, that's really nice to say that. That's a huge compliment. I definitely don't see them as being the equivalent to Bob Ross, but I really appreciate that. And I've heard a lot of people say that they love falling asleep to my videos. They say that my voice is soothing, which is funny because I can't stand listening to my voice. Like, editing this video is gonna be painful. But thank you very much. It's a very sweet compliment. All right, we gotta take a break from the questions and actually focus on our sculpture here. This video is gonna be like one giant ADHD mess. I'll try to edit it in a way that pulls everything together. I think the title for this video is gonna be I made a sinister Cupid. And then I need to add, let's do the foot really quick. Honestly, sculpting feet is way easier than sculpting hands. Do like my little noodle man. All right, now for the last step, before we pre-bake this, I'm just gonna brush the surface with clay softener mixed with Bacon Bond. This is going to really blend in my details and remove fingerprints, of course. Right, there we go. Looking pretty good. Let's get them in the oven. All right, we are back. It is the next day. We've got our Cupid creation pre-baked. His body is all set. Now we're just gonna work on the arms, the head, and figure out the wings. Actually, we're gonna make the bow and arrow first. All right, so we got the bow figured out. Just gonna curl out the edges like that. Then we're gonna cover it in a snake of clay. Then while I'm doing this, let me find a question to ramble on about. Would you rather fight a giant man controlled by parasites or eat 20 pounds of clay? So I would rather fight the giant man. I'm also a giant man myself. If you didn't know, I'm 6'4". That looks fine for that. Now the arrow, I'm just gonna use exposed wire. So I wanna get that pretty straight. All right, there we go. We've got our bow and arrow. We'll add some string to it later. I'm gonna go ahead and bake this and then we'll work on his arms. All right, now let's make some arms. I'm pretty sure these are in the correct position because I messed with them so much when I was making the armature, so I'm not really worried about them being wrong. So we're just gonna cover them in clay, and if we gotta reposition them, we gotta reposition them. What are we gonna do? How do you stop thin parts of the figurines, like clothing, from breaking when painting? Well, I kind of avoid that altogether by using cast clay. Cast clay stays flexible after it's baked. You can use it with Sculpey, you can blend it into Sculpey. So like for any fragile parts, I just sculpt it out of cast clay because there's really no way to prevent thin parts from breaking other than putting armature in them. And then sometimes when you use armature, you need to make that part thicker. And sometimes you don't want that for aesthetic reasons. So I would just recommend using a flexible polymer clay like cast clay. Bring out his delt a little bit. So for the wings, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna shape out the bone inside out of the wire, and then I'm going to make the actual wing itself out of cast clay. And then we're gonna bake them separately, get them out of the way. And then we can finish him off with his hands and head, just following the shape of my first wing so that they're both the same shape. So that'll look kind of neat, right? Cut out this clay to be the shape of the wing, and then I'm just folding that excess over right there. I'm just gonna go around the whole thing. And then I'm gonna leave some wire exposed that's going to poke into his back. Cut out the shape like that, and there we go. Okay, then I'm gonna blend everything together with my spoon tool like that. And also, because I like that texture so much, I'm just gonna use that to create the feathers. Like that. This is kind of like a lazy way to do it. Could I individually place every feather? Yes, but we ain't got that kind of time. At least not to spend on Cupid. Wing number 1. Is it the best wing in the world? Absolutely not, but does it do the job? Yes, it does. And like I said earlier, even if the sculpture doesn't come out good, at least we still had fun together. I'm just gonna use my super poker to create some nicks along the bottom there, just so that it's uneven. How do you handle sculpting cramps in your hands? I've actually gotten these before. I get it in my thumb. It's like kind of like trigger finger, and I'm pretty sure it's from all the clay conditioning that I've done over the years. And honestly, I just move my thumb into a comfortable position and hope that the pain goes away. Look at all them feathers. We got his wings. I'm gonna go ahead and bake these and we'll attach them later. So I think what we're gonna do is I'm just gonna make the hands out of cosplay, and then I can stick the props in them after it's baked. How do you keep air dry clay from drying too fast while sculpting? The biggest thing with that is just working in small sections. Don't work in sections that are too big for you to finish in one sitting. Really just break up your sculpture into smaller sections, finish each section completely before you move on to the next. That's how I know a lot of people work with like epoxy sculpt and stuff too. Do you enjoy other handicrafts than sculpting? For example, sewing, crocheting, drawing, etc. Yeah, absolutely. I don't really do anything but sculpt anymore, but I used to love drawing. I actually went through a sewing phase too. I've never crocheted before. How did your first ever sculpture turn out? And where did you get inspiration to start? Haha, my first sculpture was a little tiny Santa ornament. If I can find a picture of it, I'll put it up on the screen. That was the first time I've ever used Sculpt. I was introduced to it in middle school art class. I believe that was like 6th or 7th grade, like I mentioned earlier. It was just the step-by-step Santa ornament. Like you sculpt a circle and flatten it out, and then you sculpt the nose, and you sculpt the eyes, and you make the hat this way. And I just remember being blown away by the fact that you could just stick the clay in the oven and it would be completely cured in a matter of minutes. You didn't have to wait overnight for it to dry. And I thought that was just the coolest thing. And then from there, I just started to, my mom bought me some Sculpt original, and I started customizing Lord of the Rings action figures with it. And I thought it was really cool. So we need to really just make a fist. So I'm gonna add each finger individually. And if you want the full hand making process, I have a video dedicated to just that on my channel. How to sculpt a hand with and without armature. Just gonna add one finger at a time here. Now let's start the head. I think we're gonna go more like skeletal, open eye sockets, maybe mouth open, we'll see. But I just want to start by balling up some foil for that head core. Then we got to make that exposed heart too, but we'll do that last. Some vertical slits like that. Hardest thing you've had to overcome artistically. I would honestly have to say burnout. Burnout is definitely the hardest thing to overcome. And when you are burnt out, or at least when I am, I need to make sure that I'm taking an actual break. Because if I say, okay, I'm gonna take a break, but then every day I'm just gonna stress about like not working or not sculpting or whatever, like that's not a real break. You need to actually step away from everything. And like, I don't even come into this room when I'm burnt out. Like I take a complete break and I eventually get out of it. It's a lot of, you know, mental warfare, but it doesn't last forever. It can if you let it. You have to give yourself a break because every sculpture is not going to be perfect. The one I'm working on right now isn't perfect, but it's still fun and I'm still enjoying myself, and that's all that matters. I think he needs ears. I think that's what's missing. We're going to give him some hair too. And normally I sculpt the hair, like I'll pre-bake the head before I put the hair on, but I'm not really worried about smashing this guy because I'm not. Probably mainly because of the size of the head too. Like if it was a bigger sculpture, I'd probably be more concerned, but this is a pretty small scale sculpt. compared to what I normally do. So I think we'll be able to get away with sculpting the hair without pre-baking the head. His head's done. Add some bacon bond inside that hole there. Stick it on his body. Cute. All right, now we just need to make his little heart. There we go. And then I guess I'm just gonna press in some lines. We'll be sure to cover this in a hefty amount of blood later. That definitely gets the point across, huh? And what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna pack clay in his back and then poke 2 holes where the wings are gonna be inserted, and then I'll super glue them in after we paint him. Now we're gonna bake him, and I'm gonna bake him not attached to the base because I don't want this little ankle bending or anything or breaking, so I'm gonna bake him kind of like this. Okay, we're gonna bake him and we'll be right back and start painting. All right, everything's baked. I popped his wings in just to see what they look like. I gotta trim the wire in them, but I'll do that in a sec. And then this is what he'll look like with his bow and arrow. So we're gonna give his skin a nice medium gray tone. Then we'll add some washes and dry brushing to start painting him up, just getting in all those crevices. All right, now for the next step, we need to add a wash all over this guy. So I'm just gonna use some watered down black, and of course have my paper towel handy. And then what this is gonna do is it's going to settle into all of the details that we put on him. Swipe this on. Little chunk there. And then dab off the excess. Like that. See how it just like stays in all the details? That's what we want. And then when you're adding a wash, be kind of careful that you're not overlapping areas that you've already done too much, because they're just gonna keep getting darker with every layer of wash that you put on it. So just be mindful of that when you're doing this. And then if you're finding that your wash is drying too fast, like it's drying before you have a chance to dab it off, you're probably going a little too slow. But to mitigate that, you can use what's called an acrylic extender, and what that does is it lengthens the time acrylic paint takes to dry. You can just mix a little bit of that in with your paint and it'll perform more like an oil. Now I'm gonna take a lighter gray and I'm gonna dry brush it onto the surface. Sometimes I like to do 2 lighter shades of gray on top of each other, so I'll dry brush like a medium in between the lightest and the darkest shade first, and then I'll dry brush the lightest one on top of that. It just adds a little bit more dimension. So this next one I'm gonna dry brush is pretty close to the base color we used on the body, but the body is darker now because we added the wash. So this should show up really nicely. See how I'm going fast because it dries fast, and you need to blend it as you're applying it. You're not just gonna do it like this, like you need to just flick it real good. And one thing I love about the painting process is that like it's kind of like a sigh of relief when your sculpting portion is done. Like all you have to do now is just color it. The sculpting part's done, the hard part's done. Painting is the least of my worries, at least. See how it's just sort of kissing all the details? Dry brush that face. I really want to focus in on the middle of the face like that, and then just kind of hit the ears a little bit, the jawline. And then to take this even further, I'm going to lighten my gray even more to almost white. And this we're going to be a little more strategic about, whereas before I was just randomly covering the entire body with that shade of gray dry brushing. And now we're going to focus on the areas that light would hit first. So like the shoulders, that kind of thing. So we are both simultaneously bringing out the detail and highlighting things. Bring a little more around the center of the chest. See like the darker areas that would have more shadows, like under the arms, under the jawline, I'm not gonna hit that with my lightest layer of dry brushing. I'm just gonna really try to focus on where the light is hitting. I really don't know why I gave him this hairstyle. What was I thinking? Should have made it a little bit messier. Well, that's gonna have to do. Right now, before we paint the eye sockets, since they're still drying, we're gonna paint the wings. Just wanna start by painting them black, completely black. Right now that wash is dry on his hair, I'm gonna dry brush a little bit of brown in there just to make it look more brown. All right, now I'm gonna take a fine brush and we're gonna paint those eye sockets black. Some watered down black and enhance some of those bigger lines in his mouth. Now let's get in there and paint his heart. I'm gonna go over the heart with a black wash. Really watered down black wash because I don't want to lose too much of that red. Oh, that's kind of neat. I like it. Now I'm gonna dry brush some lighter gray on my black wings. Set those aside and then give this a nice black coat. We're gonna paint the bow and arrow gold. I feel like that will be an interesting contrast. Just swipe a little bit of gold on there. All right, now it's time to make his little loincloth. So I've got this like black fabric here. I'm just going to cut out the shape that I want. I want it to be like really tattered. And then I'm going to dip that in Mod Podge and apply it. I'm gonna add a little over the shoulder piece too. And another piece is gonna go like that. See where I'm getting at? Just wanna add some Mod Podge to a cup. I don't thin it with water because I want it to stick really good and I want it to be super hard when it's dry. When you water it down, it doesn't dry as hard. So I'm gonna saturate that in your Mod Podge, like that. And then apply it to the sculpture. Very nice. And now for the last piece, on the loincloth at least. That honestly went way better than I thought it was going to. Now I just want to add some little stringy pieces. All right, now that all my creepy fabric is on, I just have to wait for that Mod Podge to dry, so I'll probably give it like 12 hours or so. And then I'm gonna go in, I'm gonna fill in that extra hole on the base, paint the base black, glue on his bow and arrow, and stick on his wings, and you will see him done in the final shots after this. So thank you so much for watching this video and joining this process with me. I really had a lot of fun. I always forget how much fun I have making face videos. So let me know if you want to see more of this format in the future. And as always, thank you so much for watching and being here. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Check me out on Facebook, Instagram, X, and TikTok at Ace of Clay. Enter my giveaway for the Gallery airbrush. You can check out the link below. Have an awesome Valentine's Day, and I will see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.